house rules. The session will last around about 90 minutes. We will have a question and answer session or part towards the end. If you want to ask any questions, you can either raise your hand virtually or use the chat box. The webinar will be recorded, and after the webinar, you will receive an email with the link to the recording as well as the slides. So the SIFTA program is part of the InvestEU advisory hub, and in this, or under this advisory hub, there's a window for social investment and skills, and especially one for microfinance and social enterprise finance, and this is where we are. SIFTA, well, the abbreviation means social inclusion, finance, technical assistance, and basically offers two distinct services. One is project advisory, capacity building, and market development. And the other service is, or services are related to rating, assessment, and evaluation. The program is managed by the European Investment Bank, and it is a continuation of the EASY program, the EU program for employment and social innovation. Microfinance organizations and social enterprise finance providers are the beneficiaries of this program. This includes investment funds, impact investors, incubators, accelerators, to name a few, that offer services to social enterprises or micro and small businesses. If your organization would like to benefit from SIFTA services, from the technical assistance, your organization has to be located in one of the EU 27 member states. The initial budget available was until December 24, which we have right now. There will be more budget allocated for 2025. More information will be shared, in a couple of days, I hope, maybe early January. The project is managed by mainly three organizations. That is Frankfurt School of Finance and Management, based in Germany. That's the consortium leader. The Microfinance Center in Poland, and the European Microfinance Network, based in Belgium. And these three organizations organize project advisory, capacity building, and marketing development services. The rating, assessment, and evaluation services will be provided by MFR Rating, based in Italy. So then we have a slide. If you want to have more or find more information, you find that on the EIB website. If you want to receive services, you can send an email, and you have to complete a request for services template. And then with that, you launch the process. Again, you will have all the links in the email, so you don't need to do that. So, without much further ado, Manik, it's great to have you here again. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Jörg, also for the nice memory of the conference in Paris. And I remember well that while you understood what we are doing, the people in the audience were a bit confused. I almost forgot about this. But as a social entrepreneur, I'm also
there was this question. Yeah.
But as a social entrepreneur, I'm also used to the kind of confusion. So yeah, I will just switch quickly for me to my presenter's view, but you should still be seeing the normal slide. Perfect. So yeah, I will start. And today I'm bringing you what I usually do, or we do in My Migrant Mama, a very practical presentation. And that's why it's also called the My Migrant Mama case study. And just for you to know what is going to happen today, I divided the workshop in 3 parts. And just for you to be mentally prepared. There are definitely going to be tasks for you, but no worries. You don't have to turn on your cameras. You don't have to turn on your mic, but you will have to type. If you're comfortable turning on your camera and mic, of course, you're most welcome. If you have any questions during the presentation, please raise your hand and just ask them spontaneously because the group is not too big. I think we will manage well. The 3 parts today are going to be first the diversity of storytelling, because I think everybody thinks to have an idea of storytelling, but there are a lot of variety there. So let's talk about what we mean when we say storytelling. And I also want to explain to you why storytelling works and what the My Migrant Mama approach is here. The second part is the power of networking. And here we focus on how to build meaningful connections and also why networking is especially a migrant skill. And in the last part, I want to work together with you in finding actionable steps for you and how you can build practical strategies. Okay, thank you. Every now and then, don't be confused. I'm going to open the chat and read, but it always takes a bit of my focus. So who am I? I am, I think the slide is loading very slowly. Now it's working, I'm sorry. So who am I? I'm an activist, I'm an author, and I'm a social entrepreneur. A lot of these parts I've already told you, but most importantly, above all, I'm a migrant kid. And here's a picture of me and my migrant mama now, because I am a very proud migrant kid, which means I'm the child of migrants. And I'm pretty sure you don't know so many migrants who talk about their stories in this way, and even less migrant kids who talk about their story in this way. And this is because the narrative of migration focuses a lot on problems and deficits of migrants and the migrant kids. And that's what we wanted to change, because we just knew, I always talk about we because I'm a co-founder, Melissa Manrique, and usually we do everything together, and also because we are a movement. So please don't be confused. I only have one personality, but I'm speaking in the name of a group. And when I met Melissa Manrique, my co-founder, we were talking about the pride we had for our migrant mamas, like how much they accomplished. And at the same time, we knew this feeling to be ashamed as a kid. Like you can see here, that's still me and my migrant mama. And as a child, I was ashamed for my migrant mama. I was ashamed for her colorful, extensive outfits. I was ashamed for her broken German because I live in Germany, I'm born in Germany. And I was also ashamed for the food that I had at school that would smell differently than the ones of the pupils next to me. And Melissa knew this, like a lot of people know this from their own experiences, because this migration narrative is so negative. That's why we decided we have to change this, and we founded My Migrant Mama and our daughter organization, Much Cooler Than Yours. And the story why the companies are named the way they are named is actually very simple, because when Melissa and I met during our semester abroad in 2014, we started very quickly a competition. Who of us has the cooler migrant mama? So actually, we decided very early we want to name our company My Migrant Mama is Much Cooler Than Yours. But everybody told us this is a bad branding idea. The name is too long. People are not going to get it. It broke our heart, but we decided, okay, let's name ourselves My Migrant Mama. And My Migrant Mama is a female migrant-led media company with the mission to change the migration narrative in Europe, with the idea that hopefully in a couple of years, people are going to be like, no, Manik, I know of people who talk proudly about the migration background. I see them in media. But just last year, we founded our nonprofit organization, Much Cooler Than Yours, which is a female migrant-led nonprofit building campaigns led by female migrant talents, fostering dialogues between different generations of migration for self-empowerment. And now it may sound a bit funny, like how come we as young entrepreneurs already have 2 companies? And this is for sure a lot of you already know, because there's very little support in Germany, but also in Europe when it comes to social businesses. There's basically no legal framework for us to exist. And there's also not like special pitches or any kind of support network made for social enterprises. So we cover this gap in the system by having a for-profit and a non-for-profit, and then we try to use the support network that we need in one of these legal forms. And to give you a feelable, let's call it this, idea of what we do, My Migrant Mama published a book in 2019. It was immediately a big success, a bestseller. And here we tell the stories of 11 migrant mothers from the perspectives of their daughters. And so it sold over 30,000 times. So just for you to know, 90% of books are sold only 200 to 500 times. So this was an extreme success. We also had a very good media echo. And very often people approach us and are like, listen, tell me what was your great marketing idea. And we did have great marketing, but the story behind the book made it this success. And with our nonprofit, we are working on social media campaigns. This is the second season that is running right now. It's called Auf dem Sofa, which means in German, being on the sofa. The idea is to give role models to other migrant kids and their migrant mamas to have conversations that run a bit deeper. And the campaign's motto this time is, what have you always wanted to ask your migrant mama? And these are the three participants, the three couples who participated for this campaign. And yeah, that's me, that's my companies. It still sounds funny to talk about companies in plural, but I would love also to get to know you a bit better so I can adjust my presentation also. And for this, I have prepared a Mentimeter. I'm going to share the link in the chat now. So please open the link I have sent you. I will also share soon in a second what you should be seeing. You should be seeing this. So I presented myself in the most important characteristics that I have. I'm a migrant kid, I'm a social entrepreneur, I'm an activist. What are the characteristics that make you you? It can be adjectives, it can be your job description, it can be your family relation, whatever you think makes you you. I made the Mentimeter so you can have several responses, but the best option would be you put it in one response so we see who is who. So please click on the link that I shared in the Zoom meeting. And hopefully you will see this screen then. I see some of you already typing. Very good. I will leave you alone for a couple of minutes. Okay, I already see a fellow activist. I can see that there are 3 people in the Mentimeter and we got 3 answers. I will give you a chance. Oh, there are 5 now. So I will give you a chance, a couple of minutes more to answer before we look at the answers together. I think that was enough time. You're most welcome to keep answering while we look together at the answers. So I already said there's a fellow activist here on social businesses. There's somebody who works on displaced people from Nagorno-Karabakh, who currently reside in Armenia, so with migrants, in Binnen migrants in Germany, we call them. My name is Quinn. I'm caring, empathic, and a social business worker. Already love all the social business that's happening here. A mama, a long life NGO practitioner. So as a My Migrant Mama founder, big fan of this. Program director, mentor, coach, passionate about transnational collaboration and social innovation. And I think I know who this person is. And then an interdisciplinary education scientist, musician, emergent community artist. Okay, so mostly I'm not surprised. That's who I thought would be here today. But I have to admit, the artist got me unprepared. I hope I will manage to fulfill the expectations all of you have. But you have a chance to help me here by asking questions that lead me in a way that you care about. So I'm gonna continue. And I think, yeah, I found you. So I should be seeing my presenter's view and you should be seeing only the slide. Is this correct? No. Okay, I see Jörg. So
We see the presenter's view.
yes. Okay, then I think I have to start from 0. I was hoping I can skip a step to make it look neater, but it's okay. So then that's the first step. So I hope I managed, because I'm seeing, otherwise we will just accept all to see the presenter's slide. But yeah, I see nodding people. So thank you very much for participating in this little task. And so I want to start with a definition of storytelling. There are a lot of them out there. And I want to focus here on business, but yeah, I want to focus here on business. And in business is the art of using narratives to connect with audience, communicate a mission, and inspire action. And because this sounds very theoretical, and I'm going to give the case study of My Migrant Mama, but I wanted to first start with brands that you might know that are doing a good job there. And the first brand I want to introduce here is Dove. Me personally, not a big fan of Dove, but they do great storytelling. So I just had to give them the credits there. And what Dove does, most of us know, is that they have like beauty products. But what makes them great storytellers is that they started a couple of years ago with a beauty campaign called Real Beauty that uses storytelling to challenge traditional beauty standards. Like they completely jumped on the trend of body positivity when it comes like to fat people. They also jumped on the trend of colorism, especially in Asia, showing also dark-skinned people. And they do this through videos, testimonials, interviews, and they always focus on the storytelling of that they share the experience of real women. So it always looks like it's not professionally made. The person in front of the camera doesn't look like a model who has experience with the camera. And they always share their experience with self-esteem and body image issues. And it works so well because it's relatable. Like everybody who watches these videos understands right away what is it about. It's an inclusive storytelling that just resonates with a diverse audience. And of course, it makes you think, oh, Dove is one of the good ones. It's a brand you want to consume because they actually care about women's issues. And they build trust by highlighting real people instead of models and actors, as I said before. So the takeaway you can have from Dove is that using the stories of people that you serve to challenge stereotypes can inspire change. And I think that's also what they want to make you believe. But for social businesses, this is actually the truth. it's not just great storytelling we use, it's actually what we do. And that's why I brought as an next example a company that I'm a big fan of, which is Patagonia. And they also tell stories that align with their missions. And the mission is very clear. It's to protect the planet. And they do this with films, articles, campaigns. They always highlight environmental issues and the activists fighting for change. But they also do this in the way they do their business. Now, when you go to Patagonia, everybody tells me the first time they start getting to know Patagonia, oh, did you know that you can get your stuff fixed there? Very little people actually do this. Not very little people go back and are like, listen here, my jumper, can you please fix it? But it's a great story. Everybody that starts consuming Patagonia is going to tell other people about it. And it works because it's authentic alignment with their values, and it focuses on a broader mission beyond selling products. And this is going to be important also later, because in the end, it almost doesn't matter what you do. What matters is why are you doing it? And the takeaway here is you should always align your storytelling with your mission, which could be for you, for example, financial inclusion or social empowerment. So you can create a purpose on shared responsibility. The next company I have as an example is Airbnb. And I have them because I think they just did a great job. Basically, they're just about renting flats and making money. But what their storytelling does is they use their storytelling to highlight hosts and travelers and to show their stories on their platform, to give the feeling that you choose Airbnb for the create unique, personal, and transformative experience. And I'm pretty sure most of you know in the beginning, it was like very low key renting the flat or room of other people. Now they are slowly getting new products into the portfolio, like you can book experiences like walks and restaurant visits and tours. And this works so well because, first of all, they from the beginning work with personal stories that makes them very human. And it also promotes a sense of connection and community, which a lot of people are looking for. So if you have to pick a hotel or Airbnb, which makes you part of a community, you're going to go for the Airbnb. And also, this is a great example how you can use storytelling to showcase how your work fosters, for example, connection and community. And hopefully this is true. And sometimes it's just a good story you tell to sell your product. Then back to a company I'm a fan. I'm trying to have a good mix between them. It's Tom's. And I'm not exactly sure if you know this, but Tom's is a brand that sells shoes, and they tell you per shoe pair that you're buying, we're going to donate a pair of shoe. And the communication there is very clear, and that's also why it works. It's clear and easy to understand. I think every social entrepreneur out there wished their story would be as simple as the one of Tom's, because it just makes the impact so easily visible and it's just so connected so well. And it also, it also personalizes the impact because they show the stories of the people who are receiving the shoes. So here, the takeaway would be it's really important to highlight the measurable impact of your work in storytelling so people can grasp it better. But this workshop today is not only about storytelling and why it's important for your business or why it works. It's also why storytelling and networking are like key for businesses. And this is like storytelling is a powerful tool, especially for social impact and social businesses, because it goes beyond the transactions to build connections, trust, and a sense of shared purpose. So it's not only in our case about selling a book, it's about building a connection to our customers and giving them the sense of a shared purpose. In case of our book, it was very clear. We started selling the book in 2019, and there was a right-wing push happening in Germany. People were starting to react very negatively to the summer of migration and to the amount of refugees here in Germany. There were right-wing organizations building, and people felt the need to do something against it. But it was hard. Like, how do you fight the rise of this right-wing communities. So our book gave them the chance, because we were like, hey, our book celebrates migration. It shows the stories of migration. Buy our book so you get to know them better. And a lot of our customers, 60% actually, didn't have any migration background, but they were like, I care about this topic. I just don't know how in my daily life I can show that I care. So by supporting you, a migrant business, because our story there was also very clear, it is made by migrants for migrants, I can do this. And at the same time, people were also admitting in the email when we asked them, hey, how come you bought our book? They were like, to be honest, I think migration is important, but I have no contact to migrants. And your book is giving me the first insight into migrant families, while not making me feel guilty. Because we were not talking about migration in look at the racism, look at the poverty, look at the systemic issues that migrants face. We were talking about migration in a way that was celebrating all the things that come with migration, like the resilience, how you build a new family, how much brave and how much courage it takes to build the family, but also how much creativity, because migrants don't know the processes here in Germany, for example. So they had to build their own processes. They couldn't use the ones at home, but also not the ones in Germany. So they managed to find hybrid solutions that people without migration background found inspiring. And at the same time, something happened that we were not even planning with, that other people with my marginalization experience were like, I know exactly what you're talking about. My mother is from the working class, but I went into academics. I always felt she's not good enough. My mama has a handicap. Or important for German history, my mama is from East Germany, which I always understood as a deficit. So in that sense, storytelling, including networking, can help to build emotional connection and trust. It can amplify your impact and visibility. And they are both sustainable resource-light strategies for especially social entrepreneurs. And they assure that you know your goal and that you're not going the way on your own, so that you have a family joining you. I'm going to go into detail what I mean with this, so don't worry if this was a lot in one slide. So let's focus on the power of storytelling first. I said it builds emotional connection, and I think the examples of the companies before already gave a good insight. It's like about relatability. You should allow your audience to see themselves in your journey and or in your products. And for this, you have to tell the stories so they understand. For example, in our case of My Migrant Mama, we were also surprised there that a lot of migrant kids, and we call people with a migration background migrant kids, a lot of migrant kids approached us and were like, oh, we love your book, we get your message, and we are so happy that we can finally be part of a community. And in the beginning, we were a bit surprised because we only had emails. So we were not sure what is the common denominator of this special kind of customers. But then we started asking them more, and they were like, yeah, listen, I live in Germany, but my mother is from France. But since you can't see that I have a migration background, I never felt I'm allowed to call myself a migrant. And because I always feel, or like I'm very privileged, so I feel I never was allowed to call myself a migrant kid. But you show me that by your stories that this is not only what migration background is. Migration background is so much more. So I know from my mother the pain that she wanted a very specific dish here in Germany, which was just not available. So from your stories showed me that I am part of your journey, which is the migrant kid journey. And also it allows your customers or motivates them to engage with yourself. People remember stories more than they do statistics. So it also activates them much more. So people are not going to remember, I mean, this is an easy number, but every fourth person in Germany has a migration background. That means usually when you enter a room, every fourth person should know what you're talking about. But easier than this is the story of the migrant mama. And we have one story of a migrant mama who migrated from Germany to Netherlands, of the migrant mama who was driving over whole Rotterdam looking for butter. It seems butter is a very German thing, and it wasn't available then in the 90s in Netherlands. And for quark. Quark is a very special kind of yogurt. It reminds perhaps a bit of Greek yogurt, but it's better. As a German, I have to say this. So like this kind of stories people remember, and then they remember also adjectives, and it makes them emotionally connected. And of course, everybody sees something else, but it engage the person because they connect it to their own story. Also, storytelling allows you to foster trust. In some cases, depending on what kind of company you have, you can share your challenges, lessons, victories, and this makes you relatable and trustworthy. Like if you're Apple, of course, you don't want to show what kind of challenges you have faced, and especially don't want to show where you have failed. But when it comes to social impact, showing the struggle sometimes makes you more relatable, and it also makes the audience more likely to support your business because you're perceived as honest and human. Like I know this sometimes when companies are like too shiny, I'm like, something is off here. I don't know what, but something is off. Um, that's why like it helps you to be more transparent. And of course, storytelling can help you to show the social proof, like show the stories of impact, like Tom's does by telling the stories of people who get a pair of shoe when you buy a pair of shoe. So they work with testimonials or show communities they have served, and this builds credibility. And again, this is really important for social businesses. In our case, for example, we were also donating books because our book was really expensive since we are a very small company, and somehow we had to make ends meet. Our book was really expensive, which saddened us because we wanted our book to reach as many people as possible. So we had promised that every 100 books we sell, we're going to donate 5 books. And a lot of people were like, nobody's going to care for this. You don't have to communicate this. But we noticed because we are a social business, our customers actually cared. We got very regularly emails, people asking us to which organizations, to which people are these books going. And then we faced another struggle because we were not thinking from the storytelling perspective. We were just donating books, but we didn't ask the people to whom we donated the books if we can publish their information and their stories. So we learned later, and we do this now. But then when we were in the process of starting this, we didn't even think about how important storytelling is going to be for us. We thought we have a book that is published, and there we use storytelling, but it's not going to be affecting us as a business and how we do business. But actually, it proved to be the easiest way for us because this is also the reason why we got such a big media echo. Our story was just really beautiful. There are migrant kids who used to be ashamed for their mothers, but now they're proud and they published a book. Like the media loved it. It's a nice story. It's beautiful. So yeah, but I deviated a bit. So like in this case, it just shows you should think about storytelling as soon as possible. And we only learned it a bit later. So the last point here is what storytelling also strengthens your brand identity. And this, I really have to put a big focus on. Like I want to stress this point very much for all of you, because I know when it comes to social businesses, people feel branding is just not the thing we should focus on. Like we should focus on the impact we are having. And sometimes we forget how important brand and brand identity is to make sure that you have this impact. It is important, again, for authenticity. I struggle always to pronounce this word. It enables you to showcase the values and mission behind your work. And this is important to clarify the purpose that you have set and to also to set you apart from your competitors. Like in case of Tom's, it could be just about shoes, but there are a lot of people who are selling shoes. But what made Tom's special is that they're donating a pair of shoes for every shoe sold. And if they didn't have a clear branding, like it's even in their slogan, and it wouldn't be clear for the customer, so nobody would just know about the impact they are having. And for us, it's important that we just make clear, and this for sure differs a lot from country to country. But here in Germany, people care a lot about when you work in the social impact field, and in our case, you work on female migrants, they care about the team also being female migrants. People just care that this product that you're developing is authentic, and authenticity, in case at least of Germany, is measured in how many marginalized people, how many of your target group are actually also working on the product. And the other second point is it makes good storytelling makes you and your brand more memorable. And for this, a strong narrative is really important to give you a unique voice. And the most important part actually when it comes to brand identity is it makes your life so much easier. As soon as you decide you have a brand and the brand has specific rules, it makes your life easier in day-to-day work. Because sometimes when the team comes together and we don't decide how to continue, how to communicate, what to do, we don't talk about how we personally feel about this. We talk about what would my migrant mama do, because it's a brand. It's not us making the decisions. And for this, we had to sit down and we were talking about like our heroes and how do they communicate and what of them makes my migrant mama. And one very important thing that we did to identify our brand identity, and then like this also the basis for our storytelling, was the golden circle. Can you, if you know already about the golden circle, can you drop emoji in the chat, please? Can be any emoji. The golden circle, just for you, I mean, you have a visual there that could give you an idea, because perhaps you know other names. Okay, I'm already seeing some emojis and reactions. Yes, of course, you can also react. But okay, overall, I feel it's not very known, which is a pity. And I already told you, I come from activism, but my co-founder, she comes from the startup scene. And when she told me about this golden circle, I was like, listen, I want to have impact. I want to work. Why are you disturbing me now with this management concept that feels so capitalist to me? Let me just work. But now I'm like the biggest fan of it. And as you can see, I built this presentation and the golden circle is in it. So please stay with me. Please excuse the startup-y and businessness of the video I'm going to share with you now, but I'm sure it's worth your time. So the video is already loaded in the background. I'm going to share. Oh, I hope I will do it correctly, because I just noticed that something has changed about Zoom. I will just try. I can't click. Ah, yeah, no, I found the option with sound. I found it. So, you should be seeing YouTube. I will maximize it. And if you could signal with a thumb or something as soon as you can hear something, that would be great. I'm clicking on play now. It's a almost 4-minute video. Yeah.
TV.
From Martin Luther.
The world is thinking.
All those great leaders and all those great organizations, everything from Martin Luther King to Apple Computers, it doesn't matter. Big companies, small companies in every single industry. All those that command great loyalty. People. Loyalty is a feeling. Loyalty is a feeling, a human feeling. All those that command loyalty from employees and from customers and from investors. Every single one of them, regardless of their industry, thinks, acts, and communicates the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everybody else. All I did was write it down. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. It's a bullseye. In the middle is the word why. The center ring is the word how. And the outside ring is the word what. It's this little idea that distinguishes those that survive those 3 years, and more importantly, it's this little idea that is able to inspire people to join you in your pursuit. Every single organization on the planet knows what they do. You know the products you sell and the services you offer. Some organizations know how they do what they do. These are the things that we think make us special or better or stand out from our competition. But not very many organizations can clearly state why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit, that's a result. By why, I don't mean to have an exit strategy. By why, I mean what's your purpose, what's your cause, what's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why did you get out of bed this morning? And why should anyone care? As a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. We tell people what we do, we tell them how we do it, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, support, a vote, working hard. But all the inspired leaders, those with the capacity to inspire, every single one of them, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, thinks, acts, and communicates from the inside out. They all start with why. I use Apple very frequently because they're easy to understand and we all get it. If Apple were like everyone else, a piece of communication from them would sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? That's normal. Here's our new technology company. We have these features and that features, and we're better than our competition in this way. We're simpler and have a better user interface. Choose us. This is normal. Here's our law firm. We have all the best lawyers. We went to all the best schools. We win all of our cases. Choose us. This is the norm. But all the inspiring leaders and all the inspiring organizations do it differently. This is how Apple actually does it. They start here. Everything we do, they say, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? It feels different. You want to join me in this pursuit, not because my computers are better, but because you believe what I believe.
So that was Simon. 1 second. It kept running in the background. I'm sorry. This was Simon Sinek, and I already saw some of you are a fan. That's really good. So I'm seeing not everybody's like me. Like the first time I saw this, I was like, listen, we are not Apple. And I also don't care about Apple. Like, this is such a bad company. I want to help people take this away. But it was very helpful. And before I start getting into all of the stories I want to tell you now, I will go back to the presentation because I'm also noticing that we only have 45 minutes, but I want to leave enough time for the Q&A. So back to the presentation. It's a bit slow. So exactly, this was the golden circle, and I feel nobody can do it better than Simon, so I'm not really going to repeat it, but I just want to give a summary. Like, in the center is the why, the purpose, what do you believe? Then comes the how, the process, a specific action that you do as a company, and then the what, the result, what do you do? Basically, what is the product that you do? And this sounds like a very easy task. The first time you see this and you hear the Apple story, you're like, yeah, that's easy. Like, come on, makes total sense. But I can just encourage you to do this for any company you know, or even better, perhaps one of your members of your target group. If you know what they do, try to make the golden circle for them. And you're going to very quickly struggle to answer the questions. Like the what, as Simon said, is very easy. The how is already getting complicated. Like, what is our specific how? What makes us special? And then the why might not be as easy as you think it is. So if I would have to do with my migrant mama, and I have to confess, we haven't done this now in 2 years. So it for sure has changed. A lot of things might have changed, but the why is still the same. And the why for us is we believe that migrants are full of courage, skills, and resources that the world needs, and the world is also ready for this new narrative. And the way we live up to this is by amplifying migrant voices and make female migrants visible. And the what is, in our case, a book, is media products. But more importantly, the what is almost not important anymore. And this takes a lot of pressure away from entrepreneurs because sometimes you're so stuck with the what, it doesn't matter if it works or not. Like in our case, we had a book and we wanted to do more books. And our first book was a big success. But then everybody told us, listening, the publishing industry is dying. It takes so much investments and resources. Are you sure you want to do this? And we had almost an identity crisis because we were like, yeah, but that's what we do. We do books. And it took a while. It took longer for me, again, because I come from activism, and less time for Melissa, my startup co-founder, to understand it doesn't matter what we do. Our how is much more important, because every time we publish a product exclusively done by female migrants, we're already living up to our why. Because already this idea that a product is developed only by female migrants is wild out there. And then it doesn't matter if we publish books or even if we would make soaps, because then how we do it is the impact that we have. In our case, we didn't want to limit our impact there. So we focused on how can we change the narrative and went to media company. But important is that as an entrepreneur, that's so much pressure for me that this what has to work. And there's only one what I can do, because the why was important to me. And for a long time, I thought there's only one way between the why and the what, but there's actually a lot of ways. And for sure, you can argue there, but I think the most important thing is how you do it. Your how should be very clear, and then it doesn't matter what you do. And this is an important task that I can just recommend to all of you, just to do it once so you understand why this task is so special. Wait, I stopped putting the slides. So here I have written out our why, how, and what. So because I'm a quick talker, I actually had it written out there, so you can also read what I'm talking about. I will give you a couple of seconds to read it. And once again, invite you to do this once for a company you know. And now I'm going to move to networking as a key to growth. And I'm not going to put too much, I'm not going to talk for so long here, because for a lot of people, networking is very clearly important for a business. It helps you to expand opportunities and get access to resources like funding, mentorship, knowledge sharing. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are also providing this for your target group. It also helps to build collaborations like joint ventures or partnership. Networking can also help you to build visibility and credibility, like, for example, advocacy. The networks become your ambassadors. It also helps you to increase your recognition. Networking helps you to increase your reputation within the social impact spaces, which I don't know, I can only talk about Germany, but at least in Germany, it's really important to build yourself own reputation. And it also helps you to learn and inspire, like from your peers. And how we do this when my migrant mama is actually very special. And it's easy for me to brag now with how special we're doing it, because it was not my idea, it was my co-founder's idea. I find it always easier to brag about other people's accomplishment. And how we do networking is special because we use it for impact, but also to network for us. And here you can see a picture of our very first My Migrant dinner. And this dinners we called Founders Edition. And like always, we only work with female migrants. So we only invited founders we could find by research, but also some of them we knew, to come together to network. And the idea for us was pretty clear, because we were looking for these spaces. We were like, where are the other female migrants? Because we want to build teams that are exclusively female migrants, but we're not finding the professionals we need. And also we would like to work with other female migrants, also in partnerships, but we're not finding them. So we were like, we're going to build the spaces ourselves. And by launching the My Migrant Dinners, what we make sure is like we're meeting the people that we need to meet, because we decide who is invited, but also we are like the central point for everybody. Like people just remember My Migrant Mama is the company who got us together. In some cases, like here on the picture, I already see some cooperations have happened because people have like Like I see a media company and a film production that started projects later together. And they just remember it was my migrant mama who made this happen. And they always keep us in mind also for other projects. Also, when they're looking for people, they come to us. And to be honest, very often we don't even know the people that they are looking for, but still that we are approached first helps us to improve this network. This very first dinner was 2 years ago. And then we were like, okay, what are our projects? What do we need for our future projects? And we were working on a book series. So we were like, okay, the goal of our dinners is going to be get into contact with possible authors and creatives for the book series, but also publishing houses and marketeers. So we started to create this safer networking events exclusively for migrant kids to create the pool that we needed. And also had plans to expand to other cities, but right now we're only in Berlin. And the next dinner was the migrant dinner community builders. And I have added this because sometimes we also struggle. In this case, we wanted to focus on community builders who are who have big communities. So we would increase our reach also for our products. But here we struggled a lot because we could see that it makes a big difference if your name is already out there or not. When it came to founders, My Migrant Mama was a big name. We had a very extensive network. When it came to community builders, My Migrant Mama was not perceived as a community builder. My Migrant Mama was perceived as a business. And this, a lot of community builders found not attractive. They were like, oh, you don't care actually for people and community, but we do. So we noticed this, and we struggled much more to not actually find them, but to make them come to our dinners. And this is always helpful because it gives us a check. How are people perceiving us and how can we improve this? And even though there are only 2 for 6 people there, they're from 6 different organizations who are going out there and going to talk about My Migrant Mama in the community builder scenes as, oh, you know this company who everybody thinks is only about business? They actually are community builders because they did this marvelous networking event for us. And just this is also important to tell. This was also the point where we got a business corporation, like the location and the food is completely sponsored by a co-working space who really cared about networking events in their own building. So we could afford to make them for free. The next dinner I want to share is the media dinner. Here we worked only with people from the media industry because we wanted to publish our social media campaigns. So we needed people from media who could help us make this happen. And just because it's such a nice picture, this is our last year's, we always call it a yearly dinner, where we invite everybody who has participated that year to our networking dinners. And it was just beautiful to see that a lot of cooperation has happened inside of dinners. Like we had the mental health dinner, a lot of cooperation happened there. But then at this big dinners, mental health and media is talking. And then they talk about a new concept. And they just laugh that this migrant women, they just laugh, oh, finally, there's a pool of us. Like I can come up with a whole project and I will just have every member understand what I mean, what I'm talking about. So this was the great benefit from our migrant dinners that was really helpful for us, but we could also see the impact in the community that we were reaching. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was just thinking a bit. I will skip the next task. It was a 5-minute task for you, but unfortunately I'm running a bit out of time. But I would still give it for you to take it with you, to think about how can you use storytelling and networking for the benefit of your target group. And I hope actually that my presentation gave you a lot of new insights, but also sounded a bit chaotic because the process was not clean. We didn't start with the idea how we're going to use storytelling and networking. And then we were like, yeah, that's how we're going to do it. And then we came out with a product. It was a process from let's do a book here, let's do an event there, and then do the dinners actually to improve our network and then to see, oh, we're having impact here. So let's decide how this project can become even more impactful. Yeah. So, but the idea was that I ask you what ideas do you have that could benefit your target group, and I would give you at least 2 ideas that I came up with, like actionable steps for you. First of all, I hope this presentation helped you to understand why the art of storytelling is important for entrepreneurs. And that's why I learn how to guide your target group in crafting compelling and authentic narratives. And I don't really have a solution how you can explain to social entrepreneurs that are rather young why it is important. Of course, you can talk about all the points that I have told you, but in the end, it's something that has to click in yourself so you understand why it's important. And usually I say, when I coach people, I'm like, when you can tell me your story in 5 sentences, you can also reach your community. If the story is so complicated that you're not managing to tell me in 5 sentences, how are you ever going to convince your community? How are you ever going to convince other funders or investors? But you know your target group the best. You know what makes them click and understand. And perhaps next time they're going to be as convinced as me why it's important. The other thing is this strategic networking for microfinance practitioners. So this is a bit complicated because I saw now also the group was a bit more diverse than I thought. Of course, I'm pretty sure you're already thinking about how to support your target group when it comes to networking. And for sure, you have events and other products like this already going. But much more important is that you try to help your target group to think outside of the box. This means like, yeah, they can go to 1 million events, but why not build your own event and invite the people they want to meet? And this is our migrant dinner solution. What we also do sometimes is like in our case, it's easy. We don't, if we have a clear target, then we manage also in networking situations to network, but also help your target group. Like what's like just going, sorry, I'm going to start again. Like just attending an event is not enough. People also need to be encouraged. Like you should have a clear call to action to the person you are approaching. So I think networking is a skill that can be learned. Some people are naturally more talented and some are less. I'm also not as talented as I wish I would be. But that's why I put the actionable step as learn. I can't tell you how you can make your target group great networkers, but I can tell you that there are a million ways to do it that are outside of this classical networking box. So try to think outside of it. Perhaps sit down with your target group and they have ideas, they're lacking resources. In our case, a big difference was when we had a location and the food done. So it was like, okay, one had paying less. So when we invite people, we don't have to be like, yeah, like we're inviting you for this networking event, but everybody's going to pay that tab on themselves. So this made everything complicated. This was helpful in our case. There are for sure other things that can help your target group. So at the end, I would invite you to stay in touch with me. So I have shared my LinkedIn profile here as a QR code. I saw the message. You're going to get the presentation also afterwards. I'm going to share it and you're going to have it. So thank you very much for your patience. And yeah, I'm excited now for the questions. I'm almost on time. I just had to cut a bit. I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem. I would like to invite the room. Do you have any questions, any comments to kick off us with the conversation? If not, I do, as always. First of all, Manik, as a fellow German, I appreciate the sentiment about Quark. So, I'm so sorry for the other countries who don't have it. I could find myself in your story, in your narratives. Like whenever I come back from a long travel, first thing is I need bread and butter and quark.
I lived for 1 year in India and I thought I would love it because I also love Indian food. My parents are from India. I was like, I'm just going to be the happiest little girl there. But after half a year, I was like, I need bread. I need German bread. And I made my boyfriend pack vacuum bread. But I also told him at the airport, buy me a fresh piece of bread, like a loaf. He forgot. I almost broke up with him because of this. I was like, my fresh bread.
Yeah, well, these simple mistakes. But my question is, what I really, really, really liked was how you approach networking. So, and also the differentiation between building a network and building a community. And I think that is not really very clear to everyone. To give an example, I think networks need a purpose, but it's not what I can take out, but it's really based on my own intention. Why do I join a network? So I believe in the sentence, learning is a social activity. So learning requires other people or the presence of other people, requires listening, requires asking questions. So, and that's my purpose. That's why I go to, that's my why I want to go to networks. So, and so there's an intention behind it. And without that, I think it doesn't really make sense. When it comes to building a community, I was wondering if it's the same. Having this clarity of why do I want to be part of the community, to use a little bit of Simon Sinek's why here.
Yeah, as always, Jörg, an excellent question. Also, interesting thought process. I think like to initiate a community is almost easier because you don't need the why so clearly. You just need to be part somehow of the criteria that makes a community a community. In our case, it was migrant females who work in certain fields. But then as soon as you can make them join one event, you might even manage to make them join a second event. And then they're like, listen, I talked to the people I wanted to talk to. I made perhaps 1 or 2 connections that helped me. I don't know why I should join another event. I don't know why I should join the newsletter, why I should join this Telegram group. So there, the why is actually really important. And for this, once again, you need great storytelling. And that's why, especially Melissa was focusing so much on having these pictures of us sitting at a table, because she always talks about every dinner. She talks about, do you know this visual of the management of any company, and they're only men sitting, usually no women, and even less people of color, and no migrant people. I want to change this. I want the tables to look like female migrants are ruling this world. And whenever Melissa talks about it, you can see how people are like, this is what's happening here. It's not so much only about me getting to know or finding something, but the why is touching people emotionally. So usually we talk, when it comes to the why, we have a clear like, hey, listen, we're inviting this kind of people. Do you want to join? And then they come because like there are 1 or 2 big names from the community there. And for example, we once did a filmmakers dinner, and there was one big name, and we were sharing this person is coming, so everybody wants to get to know them, and that's why they came. But they stayed because our why convinced them. We talked about how hard it was for us to enter some rooms, and everybody knew what we're talking about. And some of them were like, listen, I don't care enough, like I'm fine, I don't have to trailblaze for anybody else. But a lot of people were like, I exactly know what you're talking about, so I want to support. But, and here this is really important, I would never underestimate the need of community builder skills. Like just because you're good with people, it's not enough. Building a community, keeping a community, also network, takes a lot of skills, energy, and resources. So some people think, I will do it once, and then these people will just be forever in my community. But you basically have to constantly feed community with content and input. And that's why the why just might manage to keep them, let's say, like I always think in events, because this is how we can measure very well. Like when we do an event, how many people of our community actually come to the event, and then you see if they see any kind of benefit from our events. And you can see with this good storytelling, we might manage 3 events, which is roughly 9 months, and then we start losing them again. So what we started now is with the network collaborative events. Like we invite them, hey, listen, we would like to do the next event in collaboration with some people of you. Like, what is the topic you care about? Who of you wants to work with us? And sometimes we connect them. We're like, hey, listen, we know you're planning this project and we know you're doing this. How about the 3 of us do a collaborative event? And when you make people participate and they're part of the community in an active way, not only consuming, this helped. But it's also, again, I'm really sorry, I always feel I have the same answer. It's not like one solution for everybody. This is what works for us, and we got to know in contact with our community. But what I know is if your why is strong, and it can be an emotional why, it doesn't have to be you're going to meet the next funder or the next investor. It can be an emotional one, and it's strong enough, and the storytelling is good. You're going to get people to your events. And then the best thing you can do is get them active in your events. Like they're not only there joining them, they're organizing them.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question from Liana from Armenia. Do we keep the same story under why, or do we have to adjust it if needed as the time passes and the needs change?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And what we noticed in My Migrant Mama is that we have changed the why, but usually we have changed the why because we always say we were not smart enough when we did it the last time. Like we were not seeing something. And the more often we do the task, the more we're understanding, oh, we know our why better. Like usually we try to make it every year. Sometimes it takes a bit longer, and then or we understand it better. Because very early we were like, we want to celebrate migration, and this was the idea, like changing the narrative. And then it changed already to, oh no, we want to change the narrative. Like we want to change how people perceive migration, and that's like the narrative we want to change. And slowly, we understood, no, this is also not our real why. And what I want to say is, what I believe, we are not there yet. Once you have your why and you have done it in such a deep way, then it's going to stay forever. But I can tell you from us, working on this since 5 years, we haven't reached the level yet. And we know somehow, I don't know if you know about this idea of a full body decision, like when sometimes you have to take a decision and you're unsure, but every now and then with your whole body, you're taking the right decision. And we know when we will have our why, it's going to be a full body decision. That's the moment we're going to stop ever talking about it again. Like it's going to be put in stone and never changed. But we are feeling we're not there yet. We're on our way. And I also think sometimes it's easier to make the why sound beautiful retrospectively. Like the Apple story, I highly doubt that Steve Jobs in the garage was already talking about beautiful design. It was also something that slowly evolved. And in retrospect, it's very clear. So the short answer is, yes, you have to adjust it, but I think because you haven't found it yet. I don't know. I would actually be curious what Jörg thinks about it.
I think the why can change over time. And so in more business economic terms, even though I don't like them very much, it's called vision. So, and as with everything that is related to a time point in the future, like in 5 years is really short-term vision, like would be short-sighted. So if you only think in 5-term cycles, so this will change. But if you think, for example, of the European pillar of social rights, where we have equal opportunities. So where we have gender equality. So this is really a long-term goal. We know this won't change in 5 years. We won't have changed the society so that we have equal opportunities for everyone. We won't, or we will need to talk about the gender pay gap in 5 years and in 10 years, or regional pay gaps between North and South, East and West. So we know that that is happening. So, but the question is, so I mean, it's enshrined in as a social right. So this is what the European Union is all about. All the programs have to comply with that. So this is where I would say, no, this won't change. But let's assume we have a miracle and we wake up tomorrow morning and we have gender equality. So, and then it's like, yeah, okay, fantastic, we achieved that. So, and then there might be a need to redefine something or to change that because we've achieved that. So, and I won't give up on dreaming and hoping for a miracle so that tomorrow morning the world is a better place. So, but overall, I think it's exactly as you said, it won't really change. So, and I really like what you said about this full body decision. If you do the right thing or if you find the right thing for you, then you know it doesn't matter how, if it's based on a rational process or a feeling or a conversation you had, you just know this is what you want to do. And yeah, it's a full body thing, like wherever it's coming from. It's like falling from the sky like rain.
Yeah. Actually, Lena also said themselves, they think it might change, but it should be directly linked to your initial cause. Yeah, I think both of us agree there. I also saw Ellie's question: are the dinner events addressing only female entrepreneurs? Thank you for that one. Yes, because in our core, we are a feminist company, so we care. That's our book also tells only the stories of migrant mothers from the perspectives of their daughters. And the dinner events are also only for female entrepreneurs. We're actually using an acronym which is used in Germany. It's FLINTER. It's used to talk about gender in not only a binary way, like also trans women are invited. I put it quickly in the chat. And the book, did we tell the story about female entrepreneurs? No, we did not. We told the stories of 10 migrant mamas plus mine. And we didn't we did tell the stories of female entrepreneurs, but we were not focusing on it. And by coincidence, out of this 11 migrant mamas, 3 were entrepreneurs or are still entrepreneurs. And this also just showed us once again the resilience of migrant people. And also something that I didn't talk about, I would just like to add here is that I'm deeply convinced that networking is a very migrant skill because you're entering a new country, you know nothing about anything. So immediately you start looking for community, you start looking for networks, and if they don't exist, you start building them. And that's why I think our events also work so well, because migrant kids understand the concept, but it's needed to build your own village.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Building networks, building communities is a deeply human activity, a very natural one. I guess we all have heard the sentence, it takes a village to raise a child, like one child, one village. And the more civilized we are, like in terms of technology and what we have, it feels sometimes it's less needed. But if we learn something post-COVID, is how much we actually need the human interaction, and we need to feel being part of a community. during the lockdowns when we had limitations to visit friends and family or to travel, it became very clear something is missing. And I'd like to think almost every one of us experienced that. The question, it's not really a question, maybe it's more a comment. I think you touched on something which is really, really, really important. And that is when we talk about narratives, when we talk about stories, that is probably the easiest way to connect with other human beings, with other persons. Nothing is more fascinating than listening to stories of others, and having like-minded people who want to learn more about, like, Manik, tell me your story. And it can be triggered by a very simple question like, what brought you here today? Not why are you here? It's like this, more like the and yeah, this question is a little bit too hard, but what brought you here? It's like, yeah, I wanted to meet some people, like-minded people. And it's like, yeah, and what's your story? Tell me more. And sometimes it's just this question, like, what brought you here? That people start to reflect on, yeah, why am I actually here? And it's fascinating what kind of conversations come from that and how easy it is to connect. And the other thing that always works well, get people together to share a meal. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be really very, very basic, bread and butter, and water. You don't need anything else. But or invite people to share something, like bring something. We bring the bread, we bring the butter. What would you like to bring to the table? So, and then the story behind, why did you bring, for example, this particular cheese, or the honey, or and what's your relation with that? And it's so easy to connect people, and this creates really, as you said in your presentation, this creates these lasting memories. And then we move a little bit away from these very functional business network kind of thing, more to deeper human connections, which last a little bit longer. And another question from Ellie. How do female migrant entrepreneurs find the way to your network? Or how do you find out about them to invite them to the networking dinner events?
That's an excellent question, and it's a ton of work. I can let you know this. So a big help is that we are the female entrepreneurs ourselves. So we are also just starting our journey, even though we already been there for 5 years. But as you for sure know, social entrepreneur and social businesses just grow slower. So so being affected ourselves, we know a lot of other social businesses, and then we do a lot of scouting, like on LinkedIn and also Instagram. At least, I don't know for your cases, but like in Germany, Instagram is used a lot from businesses to promote their business, especially when people are freelancing. Like our dinners are also open to freelancers. And you very often, when you have like, we invite one person and we know there's somehow a key person in their network, we always ask them for help. We're like, listen, which 3 people you think should be not missing when it comes to a media dinner for female migrant from this industry? So this helps it. In German, it's called Schwarmintelligenz. Jörg, I don't know, do you know how to translate this?
Oh, it's more intelligent of the masses.
Yeah, it's like when you use the smartness of several people and not only your brain. So we always rely on other people. We just ask them, and of course on the good heart of the people. And every now and then we just see that it's helpful that our team is so diverse. Like I come from activism, Melissa comes from startup. then the assistant comes from the creative branch, and this also helps us. What's annoying is that when we find people on LinkedIn and we approach them via LinkedIn, very often you only have like 5 contacts that you that you're allowed on LinkedIn. And this limits our way when we want to invite. That was just a small anecdote, but yeah, that's how we work. And usually, people know other people, and it's also slowly started growing, because now when we have a new dinner, we just ask the whole people that have already been invited, hey, we want to do this dinner, who should we invite? And people also like the feeling of helping. So usually we get far more people than we can invite, because we also have a rule that dinner should be only 15 people. So people are actually engaging with each other, not only small talks, and then people just leave after half an hour because they didn't manage to connect. So any other question? I hope I answered your question.
I think if there are no more questions, then all I can do is, well, we have one more opportunity to meet this Friday to talk about impact assessment. Barbara Scheck will host the webinar. It's going to be brilliant, but if we are not going to see you, then Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we hope to see you next year. And Manik, many, many, many thanks for the collaboration this year. It has been an amazing year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I also have to put out there that for networking, it's really important that you find people who believe in you. And you not being a female migrant, you're one of the exceptions who just understands what we do and supports us. So that's also, you're always reliant on the goodwill of other people, and also on their social intelligence. So I also want to just end of the year in the Christmas spirit, let you know that we as My Migrant Mom are also very grateful for this connection. And thank you, all of you, for staying until the end. And I'm going to share the presentation and see you hopefully soon.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.